Zombies? Yes.
With over 1,000 monsters to choose from in D&D, it can be hard to know which ones to use, and even harder to know how to play them. What weapons do they favor? What tactics would they use? How do they interact with other types of monsters? These are all questions that can come up to DMs that are looking to make their combats more enticing for their players. It's certainly one that I struggled with. That's why I'm back today with another monster breakdown for D&D. Hello again everyone, I'm Bill from AltRoll, and today I'm going to dive into a brief history of a D&D creature, how that history was adapted into 5th edition, and how this lore can help game masters make their combat encounters better. So, whether you're here for the cool lore breakdown or for the combat tactics, I'm hoping to give you a lot more to chew on when it comes to the monsters we face in D&D. For episode 16, let's reanimate some interest in a core undead creature, the zombie. A zombie is an undead creature created through the reanimation of a corpse. While undead creatures have been described since Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula, the word zombie specifically comes from Haitian folklore. These Haitian zombies were dead bodies that had been reanimated by a bokor, or voodoo priest. With no will of their own, these reanimated corpses would act as personal slaves to the bokor, performing hard labor as depicted in the 1932 film White Zombie. How the word zombie became associated with the hordes of shambling undead we know as today is not entirely clear. One of the first books to expose Western culture to the concept of the voodoo zombie was the 1929 novel The Magic Island by W.B. Seabrook. The film Night of the Living Dead, released in 1968, made no spoken reference to its undead antagonists as zombies, describing them instead as ghouls. Although George Romero used the term ghoul in his original scripts, in later interviews, he referred to the creatures as zombies, possibly due to film critics at the time associating the creatures with the term.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
With Romero's film largely creating the zombie apocalypse genre of horror we know today, a new version of the zombie emerged. Fully distinct from Haitian voodoo, these undead craved the flesh of the living, and became featured more heavily in movies like Dawn of the Dead and The Return of the Living Dead. The 1990s saw zombies crawling their way into gaming as well, being featured as main antagonists in the Resident Evil series and The House of the Dead. Since then, zombies have been a staple in horror fiction, appearing in novels, films, and games such as The Walking Dead, World War Z, and The Last of Us. In D&D, zombies were one of the earliest creatures introduced to the game. First added in the Dungeons & Dragons White Box set in 1974, they were described as acting under the instructions of their motivator, usually a magic user or cleric of chaotic alignment. In subsequent supplements and editions of the game, the zombie continued to appear as a staple monster, as well as zombie variants such as the Juju Zombie, Monster Zombie, and Zombie Wolves. 3rd edition continued to include zombies, but also added a template for dungeon masters to turn any creature into a zombie, such as Wyvern zombies, Umber Hulk zombies, and even the Zombie Dragon. In 5th edition, zombies are dead remains infused with sinister necromantic magic, causing them to do their creator's bidding without fear or hesitation. The nature of this magic, while viewed by some as utilitarian, imbues the zombie with evil, causing it to attack any living creatures it encounters. Clad in whatever decaying clothes they were buried in, zombies move with a slow, jerky gait towards their target, and if nothing is nearby to kill, a zombie will stand in place, continuing to rot as it waits for orders from its master. A zombie can follow simple orders and distinguish friend from foe, but its ability to reason is limited to shambling in whatever direction it's pointed. They will take the most direct route to any foe, walking through or over obstacles and dangerous terrain with zero regard for self-preservation. While capable of using simple tools or weapons, a zombie won't retrieve dropped items unless told to do so. When compared to other monsters in D&D, the zombie is the pinnacle of a mindless brute. Requiring no air, food, water, or sleep, a zombie stands eternal as a mindless soldier for their necromantic master. Now that we've examined their lore, let's pivot over to the zombie's stat block to take a look at how they work mechanically. Starting at the top, we have their size, creature type, and alignment. Size in 5th edition defines the space a creature takes up in combat, with a medium creature taking up a 5 foot by 5 foot square or hex on a battle map. Using the 3.5 edition Dungeon Master's Guide, shown here, zombies can be between 4 and 8 feet tall and weigh between 60 and 500 pounds. Their creature type is undead. Undead are once-living creatures brought to a horrifying state of undeath through the practice of necromantic magic or some unholy curse, including vampires, ghosts, specters, and of course, zombies. Alignment broadly describes a creature's general outlook on the world and combines their moral beliefs with their attitudes toward society and order. The alignment of the zombie is neutral evil, meaning they will do whatever they can get away with without compassion or qualms. Below that top bar are the rest of the zombie's stats, which are essential for the Dungeon Master to play them in combat. The zombie has an armor class of 8, 3d8 plus 9 hit points, or 22 on average, and a movement speed of 20 feet. Looking at their ability scores, zombies have 13 strength, 6 dexterity, 16 constitution, 3 intelligence, 6 wisdom, and 5 charisma. With 10 being average for an ability score, zombies have high strength and constitution and low dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. For their skills and proficiencies, the zombie has a wisdom saving throw of +0, is immune to poison damage and the poisoned condition, has dark vision out to 60 feet, has a passive perception of 8, understands languages it knew in life but can't speak, has a proficiency bonus of +2, has a challenge rating of 1/4, and awards 50 experience points when killed. In terms of special abilities, the zombie has Undead Fortitude, which states that if damage reduces the zombie to 0 hit points, it must make a Constitution saving throw with a DC of 5 plus the damage taken, unless the damage is radiant or from a critical hit. On a success, the zombie drops to 1 hit point instead. For offensive actions, the zombie has a slam attack that has a +3 to hit, a reach of 5 feet, and deals 1d6 plus 1 bludgeoning damage on a hit. Lastly, we have their environment tags. When using digital resources, we can see that zombies are commonly found in urban areas. Now that we've gone through and sorted out their stat block, we can begin to relate the zombies' lore and abilities to how we should be using them in combat encounters. Specifically, we're going to look at how they behave, how they would approach a combat situation, and how to get into the mind of a zombie if you want to fight effectively as one. How do we do this? Well, we'll need to take the lore and stat blocks of the monster and compare that with how that information is intended, referencing tactics and interpretations from The Monsters Know What They're Doing by Keith Amon. Let's start by going through Amon's key assumptions one by one and relating them to the zombie as we go. The first of Amon's assumptions is that most creatures want to survive, and if seriously wounded, will try to flee combat. Exceptions to this rule are fanatics or intelligent beings who believe they'll be hunted down and killed if they do flee. Now, seriously wounded can be subjective, but we can assume that threshold to roughly be 1/3 of a creature's health. With an average of 22 hit points, 1/3 of that would be rounded to 7. While most creatures care about self-preservation, the zombie's lore explicitly states that it does not care about staying alive. As such, zombies will fight to the bitter end in every combat, unless ordered to run away by their master. Next up, let's look at how their alignment can impact their thinking. On the scale of good to evil, good creatures tend to be friendly to others, whereas evil creatures are hostile to others. On the scale of lawful to chaotic, lawful monsters may try to capture or non-lethally subdue others, whereas chaotic monsters would just kill them. Since zombies are neutral evil, we know two main things about them. First, since zombies are between lawful and chaotic, they have a 50-50 shot of either capturing or killing those they defeat in battle, leaving that decision up to whether they're under orders to take a creature alive by their master. Secondly, since zombies are evil creatures, they are going to be outwardly hostile to other creatures, especially living ones. Continuing with their mindset, let's dive into some of their mental ability scores. Zombies have an intelligence score of 3. With regards to intelligence scores of 7 or less, Amon states, "A creature with intelligence of 7 or less operates purely from instinct. That doesn't mean it uses its features ineffectively, only that it has one preferred modus operandi and isn't going to be able to adjust if it stops working." So, it's safe to assume that a zombie is not going to be a tactical genius on the battlefield. Their main instinct is to shuffle towards a target, bludgeon it to death, and then move on to the next target. Zombies also have a wisdom score of 6. With regards to wisdom scores of 7 or less, Amon states, "A creature with wisdom of 7 or less has an underdeveloped survival instinct and may wait too long to flee." As alluded to in their lore, and as we stated earlier, zombies have no survival instinct as undead monsters. As such, they will not flee unless directed to by their master. Now that we've set up how they think, let's look at the zombies' physical abilities that influence how they fight. Thinking like Amon, we can assume the following. Creatures with high strength focus on melee combat and won't need to compensate with greater numbers. As such, they won't need to outnumber an enemy to be willing to take a fight. Creatures with low dexterity, whatever their strength or constitution, will need to choose their battles carefully. Since their ability to avoid damage is poor, they'll want some other advantage. Creatures with high constitution typically have a hit point advantage over their enemies, and because of that, they're less likely to hide in combat since they can soak up a couple attacks before going down. To recap our earlier stat block examination, zombies have high strength, low dexterity, and high constitution. Comparing this to the assumptions we put forward, we can safely assume that zombies are mindless brutes that want to engage in a close-quarters slugfest with their enemies, utilizing their undead fortitude to stay in the fight despite their low armor class. I'll also add on that despite their high constitution modifier, zombies are typically associated with hordes, While 2 or 3 zombies may be a good challenge for a level 1 party, it would be reasonable for higher level parties to run into groups of 10, 20, or even 50 zombies at a time. The last major premise from Amon is that in D&D 5th edition, unless otherwise specified, any creature gets their full movement, 1 action, 1 bonus action, and 1 reaction, just like any player character does. Amon posits that any creature that exists within the game world will have evolved in accordance with this rule, and it will seek to obtain the best possible result from the action economy of the game. This means they will combine whatever movement, actions, bonus actions, and reactions are available to it for the best possible outcome. Unfortunately for the zombie, they have no real abilities or features on their stat block that allow them to use their action economy wisely. The only real turn for a zombie in combat is to slowly shuffle towards the nearest target, use a slam attack if possible, and then hope that they can stay alive with undead fortitude to do it again next turn. This is another aspect of their stat block that indicates to me that they're intended to be used in large groups. 1 zombie shuffling forward to deal 4 bludgeoning damage is a laughable threat, but when a horde surrounds the barbarian and begins unleashing 8 attacks per turn, all while refusing to die thanks to undead fortitude, they can be a very deadly threat for even prepared adventurers. So, with all of these assumptions laid out and applied to zombies, what do we now know about how to use them in combat? First, zombies are mindless drones that blindly follow the orders of their master, no matter the difficulty or danger. When not given any explicit orders, or if they don't have a master controlling them, they will aimlessly wander around, chasing down and killing any living being they come across. Second, zombies have no tactics, no sense of self-preservation, and will let nothing get in the way of them and their target. While this can lead to them appearing very straightforward, this makes them a uniquely dangerous threat, as few other creatures would use their own head to break down a door just to get to the living creatures hiding inside. Third, in combat, zombies will shuffle towards their target to use their slam attack, relying on their hit point pool and undead fortitude to keep them alive long enough to take down their foe. If being directed by another, more intelligent creature, they can be ordered to do simple tasks or use weapons as well. Fourth, no matter how low their hit points get, a zombie will always fight to the bitter end in combat. The only time a zombie would run away is if it were ordered to by its master. Fifth, if a zombie wins a combat encounter, it will default to killing and eating its defeated foes. If ordered to take captives alive, however, it will do that instead, giving dungeon masters who use them flexibility in whether fighting a group of zombies is going to be a TPK or not. With that, we come to the end of today's video on the zombie. A classic undead monster, the zombie is a solid monster for any tomb, crypt, or family vacation to Ravenloft. While some might consider their kit simple, their lack of complexity doesn't mean they're any less dangerous, especially when in big groups. However, what I want to know is, what do you think of the zombie? Do you like using these undead hordes against adventuring parties? Or are they too simple to be fun fighting against? You can let me know down in the comments section, or you can discuss it on the Altroll Discord using the link in the description. While on the server, you can pop into our courses that teach the basics of D&D, and if you like what we do, supporting us on our Ko-fi goes a long way in helping us keep Altroll going. However, that's all I had for you. Thank you all for watching, make sure to have a great rest of your day, and I'll see all of you next time.